Hey guys, Curtis Stone here. I've got a recipe for you that's really quite sentimental to me. My granny used to make this one for me and my brother when we were little kids, and I can still remember how it would taste. It's my granny's cottage pie. Very simple to make. I'm gonna get started because once I cook this for you, you're gonna be amazed. The first job you've got with a cottage pie is to make the mash. So over here, I've got some potatoes. I've cut them into like 2 or 3 centimeter pieces, and I'm gonna pop them into a pan and then cover them with cold water. All right, so we'll put that up to a nice high heat with just a little bit of salt. Now you'll see I've put the water about 2.5 centimeters above the potatoes. So again, you don't have to fill the pot all the way to the top. Once that water starts to simmer, I'm going to reduce the heat and cook with the lid slightly tilted for about 15 minutes or until the potatoes are tender. While they're cooking, I'm going to get started on the beef filling. Now I'm using 3-star Coles mince. That's got a little bit of a fattier content, which I love, especially for this dish, because what we're gonna do, hear that sizzle? That's what you wanna hear. Now the temptation, of course, when you put minced meat into a hot pan is to stir, 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 stir. I actually leave it because I let a little bit of that caramelization start to happen on the bottom of the pan before I start to stir it. So let it caramelize a little, get some of that beautiful browning going on, and then turn your beef over. And you'll see you're getting a really beautiful fond on the bottom of that pan, and that caramelization there is going to give you beautiful sweetness. The next step is to remove the beef from the pan, leaving a little bit of that beef fat in the pan, because that's what we're going to fry our vegetables in. So I'm just going to go ahead and scoop this up. Then I go ahead and get my onions, leaving that little bit of fat in the pan, and again, just slowly developing that flavor in the pan with those frying onions. The room should be filling with beautiful fried onion smell. Then what you do is you get your carrot, as well as a little bit of celery, and we give that a couple of minutes. And of course, it's an absolute essential. We all know it in most dishes. It's garlic, finely crushed. Now, if you have a look at my potatoes, you'll see they're just coming up to the boil. So what I'm gonna do is just tilt the pan ever so slightly to allow a little bit more steam out and just reduce the heat. Next, I take a couple of tablespoons of tomato paste, add that. We're going to roast that out for just a minute before we add a little flour. Now the flour is going to help bind it and make a really beautiful thick sauce. And now for some beautiful stock. I use about 2 cups of salt-reduced beef stock. So just to help that come up to the boil, I'm going to pop the lid on. That just, always speeds things up a little bit because you're just capturing that steam that's going to flow back onto the surface of the liquid, which is going to bring it to the boil a little faster. Our potatoes are doing great. You want to make sure that they're not overcooking, so the best way to do that is just pull one out to the surface and just give it a little feel. And if it's not soft, then you know you've got a little bit further to go. So let's take a look. Oh yeah, perfect. See those little bubbles in the pan? It's exactly what you're looking for. Your next step is to get that beef and go ahead and add it back in. So we now just let that simmer away a little bit. Make sure you season it with a little bit of salt and a little bit of fresh ground black pepper. It is beginning to smell just like walking into Granny's kitchen right here. It smells beautiful. And guess what? Our potatoes, let's take a look. Oh yeah. As soon as they give way like that, you pretty much know they're good. Right, so what I do is I drain the water off the potatoes, and then I take that strainer and pop it back over the hot pan, because that steaminess, that warmth of the hot pan below is going to help to dry those potatoes out, which will give you a really, really creamy mash. And just tip these potatoes back into my warm pan, get the good old trusty masher, and start going to town. Then I'm going to add a little bit of milk. Just continue to mash that up. Let me have a taste of this. Fantastic. So rich and so delicious. I'm just going to turn that off the heat. Once you're happy with your mash, which I sure am, let me have a quick taste of that as well. Yum. It does need a little more salt though. So the only thing left to do here is to get our potatoes on top of our cottage pie. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and push that vegetable a little down the side, smooth it out, and then directly in this pan, I'm just going to pick up some of my potato. And you see how I'm putting the potato on just in little pieces, but I make sure that I get it all pretty much covered. Then you can go back in with your spatula and kind of smooth it out a little, if you like. And then actually what I like to do is get a smaller spatula or a spoon and sort of dig into it a little bit so you get some bits that are sort of sticking out that are a little crispy. The last job I've got here is to brush it with just a little bit of butter and we're done. Once you've got that butter on top of the potatoes, all you have to do is stick this under the grill and it's only going to take about 6 minutes. It's going to turn golden, slightly crispy and so good. Oh, The 6 minutes is up. Have a look at that. It's so easy to do. I just can't help it. I'm going to dig in. I've got to get a little taste. Oh, yum. Nice and hot. I hope you enjoy my granny's cottage pie as much as I do.